The CBC News is next, and then it's the Current Review.
Hi, I'm Matt Galloway, and I'm in Dawson City. The Current is in Yukon this week, and we're talking to Yukoners about the big issues that matter to them. This is an amazing part of the country, and you'll hear all about it coming up this week.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Neil Herland. We begin in Saskatchewan, where a manhunt is underway for Miles Sanderson. The body of his brother Damien was found Monday with wounds that do not appear to be self-inflicted. Both men were suspects in connection with the murder of 10 people. Tonight, Regina Police Chief Evan Bray gave an update on the case.
As was mentioned earlier today, in a joint release we did with the RCMP, Damien Sanderson was located deceased on James Smith Cree Nation earlier today. So the question now is, where's Miles? Is Miles Sanderson still in Regina? That information that put him in our community is now well over a day old, and we have not had any new information to determine that that is no longer factual. So we're continuing to operate under the assumption that he is here until we get information that indicates otherwise.
The Regina Police Chief says authorities will continue to work through the night to try to find Miles Sanderson. Investigators say Miles may have sustained injuries, but there's no confirmation. And tonight, CBC News has obtained the parole documents for Miles Sanderson. The CBC's Katie Nicholson reports on what's in them.
Miles Sanderson's parole documents paint a disturbing picture of an explosively violent offender whose criminal record started young. The documents outline 20 years of violence, 59 convictions, assault with a weapon, uttering threats, assaulting a police officer, robbery, and a long history of alcohol and drug abuse. It specifically mentions cocaine. There is a disturbing history as well of intimate partner violence. Now, the documents say he himself was exposed to violence in childhood, but it also speaks to him as a perpetrator of intimate partner violence, forcing his way into his ex-girlfriend's home, punching a hole in the bathroom door, frightening the children who were hiding there, throwing a cement block at a woman's vehicle, kicking a police officer in the face, and threatening to murder a band store employee. In 2018, he stabbed 2 men with a fork. Now, even though while incarcerated he didn't follow the rules, he was transferred to a minimum security healing lodge. And although rated as highly likely to reoffend, he was granted release with conditions. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
And police in Saskatchewan have issued a second public warning for what they say is an unrelated shooting incident on the Witchican Lake First Nation, about 165 kilometers northwest of Saskatoon. The Mounties are looking for Kelly Witchican, age 22, and Melvin Starblanket, age 33. Liz Truss will be the next British Prime Minister. The longtime Conservative cabinet minister beat Rishi Sunak in a leadership contest. Truss will take over from Boris Johnson in what economists say is the country's worst financial crisis in a century. Chris Brown reports from London.
There was no confetti, no balloons, and indeed not much of a celebration for Liz Truss as her win was announced to thousands of Conservatives who gathered in a London conference room. Britain is suffering, and no one seems in the mood for a party.
I campaigned as a Conservative, and I will govern as a Conservative.
Truss promised tax cuts and cast herself as a modern-day Margaret Thatcher, someone who will stick to her Brexit beliefs and vanquish political opponents. Britain's economic crisis is deepening by the day. Home heating bills are poised to triple. Inflation is running over 10%, and the pound has crashed to its lowest level against the dollar in 35 years. All as the opposition Labour Party and its leader, Keir Starmer, carry a big lead in the polls.
So she needs to deal with the cost of living crisis. She needs to deal with the fact the NHS is on its knees.
Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
French President Emmanuel Macron is calling for a sharp reduction in the country's energy use in the coming weeks and months.
La meilleure énergie, c'est celle qu'on ne consomme pas.
Macron says the best energy is the one that we don't consume. He wants both businesses and households to cut their energy use by 10% in order to avoid rationing in the winter. Energy prices in Europe shot up once again after Russia shut down a pipeline supplying gas to Germany. And that is your world this hour.